If you want to really develop and enhance your skills on Ana, you've come to the right place. So let's get right into it. Ana, regarded as one of the world's deadliest snipers, is an extremely impactful support within the game of Overwatch. Armed with a strong Biotic Rifle, she is equipped to not only heal her allies, but also take down her enemies. With her versatile utility, she can swing teamfights in a matter of seconds, but with power comes great skill and responsibility. That being said, what is this guide going to have that is different than something you'd find somewhere else? This is indeed a comprehensive guide, so there are definitely players from all over that will end up watching this video in the future. So I'm going to go really in depth in this character. Many guides go into detail about Ana within ladder, which is perfectly reasonable. However, within this video, we will not only accomplish this, but also go in depth about how Ana fits into a scrim setting. In order to do this, allow me to introduce myself to you. My name is Paz, and I am a top 500 flex support player that specializes in Ana. I play for the team Attack Mode that just recently placed 3rd in Open Division that took place in February of 2021. To put that into perspective, we were a game off of making Contenders Trials, so it was a little heartbreaking. I have amassed well over 1,000 hours on this character and climbed from plat on console all the way to where I am now on PC today. So I know a lot about this character and how she plays into all kinds of different situations. So let me lay out the basic roadmap for this video. Throughout the guide, we will go over all of the concepts I have listed in the description in a staircase structure. For instance, with Ana's gun, we will start with the basics and work our way up to the advanced concepts like quickscopes and shot prioritization. So with that out of the way, let's start with her gun. Ana's Biotic Rifle has 2 different firing modes that fire a magazine of 12 shots for 70 damage a shot or 70 healing a shot over 0.6 seconds on impact, like a poison effect. While unscoped with the Biotic Rifle, your shots are projectiles. In other words, they have a travel time. While you are scoped in, your shots are hit scan, as in the shot is fired immediately and hits wherever your reticle is. Keep in mind that your scoped shots leave a trace that your enemies can see and your unscoped shots do not. Remember this while healing flanking teammates or while playing in risky positions in teamfights. Since Ana receives a 65% movement reduction penalty and obscured vision while scoped in, it makes her an extremely vulnerable target. To combat this, you can use the quickscope technique. To perform this, start scoping in and primary fire right as you are fully scoped. This allows for you to shoot a hit scan dart with no movement reduction and minimal obscured vision. However, there are still some drawbacks. After a quickscope, the Biotic Rifle does take longer to refresh compared to a normal scoped or unscoped shot. For certain situations for this technique, I suggest you watch ML7's guide on quickscoping that I have linked in the description. Personally, I don't feel this technique is something that I use a lot in games, as solid positioning and awareness mitigate the need for it. The most important takeaway from this segment for an advanced player is to be cognizant of how often you are reloading. There are 3 different stages of a basic fight in Overwatch: the pre-fight, the main fight, and the cleanup. You will be using your ammo in all of these stages, but it is extremely important to be ready for every situation, especially the main fight. The ideal situation is to heal any poke damage in the pre-fight or poke yourself for some nano charge. Then right before your main tank engages, start your reload. A good example of this is right when your Rhine begins to aggress or right before your Winston jumps. This allows for you to optimize your uptime throughout the game. My bonus tip for the Biotic Rifle is to only call when you are reloading in certain situations to avoid flooding your team's voice chat. If you are reloading in a teamfight, it is necessary that you call that out. But if you are reloading for your first engage and everyone is healthy, it isn't necessary, as it can get in the way of important calls like speed boost or Zarya's bubble rotations. Lastly, for aim, I suggest a half an hour of aim arena a day on Ana for the aim type you are struggling with the most. Personally, a year ago, I struggled with unscoped shots, and this helped out a lot. If you're looking for something more fun, look for Ana Paintball lobbies, as they can help you with your quickscoping especially. Codes will be found in the description. Next up, we have Ana's Biotic Grenade, a powerful ability with a 10-second cooldown that is considered better than most ultimates in the game at a high level. Because of its impact, it's important to get used to how the projectile arcs through the air. On impact, the grenade does 60 damage and prevents healing to enemies, as well as 100 healing on impact to allies, topped off with a 50% incoming healing buff for 4 seconds. Keep in mind that the grenade has a splash radius that can envelop multiple enemies and allies at once to create an insane amount of value within fights. A constant way to visualize this is when both teams' main tanks are duking it out. In this situation, you can throw your grenade in a way that splashes both your main tank and the enemy's main tank to force the fight in your favor instantly. I found that utilizing this concept was something that carries games at lower elos, as players don't know how to react quickly to a massive swing in value. Something you may find as you climb up the ranks is that enemy tanks may start blocking your nades more. While this can be tilting, there are ways to get around this. Against a Reinhardt, try to find angles where you can throw a nade on a wall so that it splashes above his shield. Since Brawl generally wants to play stacked, this will find a lot of value. However, in some situations, it is really difficult to find use with an anti-nade even with this tactic, so you may need to pull another trick out of your sleeve. This trick is the utilization of set nades. Set nades are powerful engagement tools that can take enemies by surprise, with a nade that comes seemingly out of nowhere. To perform this tech, find a spot on the map where if you throw a grenade in the air at a certain spot, it will splash in a desired radius. Don't want to find these spots yourself? That's okay. I just finished an entire video series that streamlines the process by giving you the nades that are the most valuable. Link will be in the description. Keep in mind that this technique takes a lot of practice, but will definitely put you ahead of the competition. Moving forward, Ana's Biotic Grenade can be used to heal herself, but take it from a player that has tons of time on Ana, you should try and avoid this as much as possible. Obviously, if you are being dove and you will die if you don't use the grenade, you should use it to keep yourself alive. However, I encourage you to test your limits and recognize when you can utilize your friendly support's healing potential to be more aggressive with your own grenades. A micro tip I have with nade is in a scenario where you are being dove by a diva. Generally, high-level divas will jump on you with micro missiles and then immediately utilize their defense matrix when they see you look down to throw a nade. Because of this intuition, you can trick your enemies by looking down, but not actually throwing your nade. This will cause them to start firing at you, where you can then respond with a grenade and increase your chances of demeching them. To top this section off, I cannot emphasize this point enough. Damage is healing. What do I mean by this? By anti-ing the enemy, you force them to either play slower and give up space and damage, or make them continue to play aggressively with a severe disadvantage that will lead to death. Therefore, by doing damage, you are preventing future damage. This is a high-level concept, but it applies to many other concepts within Overwatch. It is the whole reason why Zen Brig comps are so successful in high-level play. The earlier you recognize and apply this concept, the better you will become as a player in the long run. Moving forward, let's cover Ana's sleep dart projectile that leaves enemies unconscious for up to 5 seconds on impact with a 12-second cooldown. It is important to note that while a target is sleeping, if any damage is taken, they will wake up before the 5-second duration is completed. For starters, it is very important that you learn how to properly aim this projectile. In VOD reviews I have had in the past with players, common mistakes include aiming the dart like a hit scan. This is the worst thing you can do. I also see many players taking the projectile aspect a little too literal and trying to predict where the dart will go when there's a better way to go about this. Since the dart gun has a 0.3 second activation time, you can use this to flick right before the dart releases, like this, to boost your precision greatly. It takes some time to get used to, but will definitely make you much more consistent in the future. It may seem like common sense, but waiting for the right time to use your sleep dart against tanks is perfectly fine to do so. Eating your sleep dart for the tracer that it just respawned isn't going to provide consistent value compared to the hog in your backline. Tanks are easier to hit and therefore will provide you with a greater amount of value. Another tip I give to players trying to learn Ana and climb is to try and focus down a target with your sleep dart throughout the game and keep them out of the fights for as long as possible. Targets that work great for starters include Roadhog, Winston, and Reinhardt. As fights go on, you'll want to save your sleep dart anyway for ultimates like Dragon Blade, Barrage, Visor, and High Noon. Since you will be against Genjis a lot when Ana rolls back into meta, let's go over the best way to sleep a Genji blade. As you ascend the ranks, Genji players will get increasingly tricky with their dash patterns. Usually the Genji will dash up into the air to get intel and then dash onto his target. You want to bait the Genji into dashing you. Then you want to sleep at his model as he dashes. This makes it so that he dashes into your sleep, which mitigates any heavy aiming you would have to do with other techniques. Keep in mind, however, that great Genjis will throw you off with a jump instead of a dash, which will bait out your sleep and then they will dash. It is really hard to get used to picking up on the tendencies of other players. Personally, what works best for me is to get a friend and have them blade me with different dash patterns. I understand that not everyone has the luxury of friends. But there are other codes that can help you with sleeps, like SOMBRA EMP or this Pharah workshop code that Magia from our community provided me. This really helped him get better at sleep darts. My last bonus tip is to aim your sleep darts at every character's lower torso rather than their heads. This is because of the way that Overwatch's character models work. Their legs are actually larger than the top of their bodies. CAHNM has made a great guide showing each character's hitboxes. The link for this video will be down below. Ana's ultimate is the Nano Boost, a mysterious solution that when used on an ally, instantly heals 250 HP, as well as a 50% boost to outgoing damage and a 50% reduction to incoming damage. Nano Boost also charges extremely quickly, so holding onto it for a long time isn't very smart, as you'll lose out on a lot of value in the long run. There are many ways to utilize this ability, which we will go into now. First off, I will talk about some of my favorite characters to Nano. Personally, great characters to Nano include Reinhardt, Zarya, Winston, Genji, Soldier, and the list goes on. Reinhardt and Winston are great Nano targets because it allows them to take space quickly without fear of dying instantaneously. Zarya works well with Nano because it can serve as a catalyst for her own ultimate, Graviton Surge, but we can get into that later. Genji's and Soldier's ultimates work extremely well with Nano as they can cut through enemy teams with very little available counterplay. While these are very good base characters to Nano on paper, at the end of the day, Overwatch is a very fluid game, so it is all based on the situation. Sometimes nanoing your support is really important if they need to stay alive to stop a dash reset on a blade, or to just live a little bit longer in order to charge a beat or a transcendence. An easier way to understand this concept is by thinking about your enemies and your own win conditions before a fight starts, which we will talk about now. A win condition is a way in which a team can win a team fight. Obviously, there are many different possible win conditions for each and every team fight, but there are some that are more effective and efficient than others. That is, there are ways to win a fight by using a minimal amount of ultimates to get the maximum value needed. So let's talk about two compositions where Ana could be played, powerful win conditions within the compositions themselves, and how the win conditions interact with different compositions. The first composition we will go over is a simple Ana brawl comp. This comp today will include Reinhardt, Zarya, McCree, Mei, Ana, and Brig. This composition wants to close the distance on the enemy, but also wants the fight to prolong for the Zarya to find value with charge, along with anti-nade value from Ana. That is their basic win condition. In terms of ultimates, Rally is very strong, and it is a great engagement tool that can be used to virtually win any team fight on its own. As the Ana player, you have a lot of different options. You can nano Reinhardt for a much faster engagement, nano McCree to pressure against possible dive comps you may face, nano a Brig to catch the enemy off guard, or nano the Zarya to generate grab faster in order to use the strong grab blizzard combo, which is basically a free team fight win. The next composition we will go over is the current double bubble composition. This comp includes Winston, Zarya, Tracer, Sombra, Ana, and Brig. The composition wants to play slow to build nano as fast as possible while also building charge with the Zarya so that there are various tools to supplement the impending fight. That is the basic win condition. Some ultimate win conditions within this composition include EMP engagements, grab pulse bomb combos, and obviously nanoing a Winston on the engage. As the Ana player, it is really important to understand that your job in this composition is to build nano as fast as possible, so that you can engage with your nanoed Winston first. A fat anti-nade can also be a win condition to play for in neutral fights. Now let's talk about how these compositions interact against each other for Ana. While playing Ana with a Reinhardt, you usually want to use nano as a powerful engagement tool with the Reinhardt. However, this all changes based on the composition you are playing against. In this example, you are playing the brawl composition against a dive, so nanoing a Rein isn't going to create any threat because all of the enemies can kite away relatively easily. Rather, utilizing a nano with McCree can find possible stragglers within the enemy's rotations, or you can also nano the Zarya to force out the Winston's dive, as well as generate grab extremely quickly. On the other side of the matchup, your playstyle on Ana doesn't change much against a brawl comp on Double Bubble. You are still looking to nano the monkey and jump on the backline once your Zarya is amped up and ready to take the fight. If you are still confused on this subject, let me know in the comments down below if you'd like me to make a video about it. If you have any questions, you can also join our Discord server of many players just like you and ask me questions when I'm not live. Link in the description. Now that we have discussed win conditions, let's talk about positioning. Many people will tell you that positioning with Ana is easy. All you have to do is sit far away in the backline, right? In some situations, yes, that'll work great. In other situations, you are literally throwing by doing this. For example, if the enemy team is running a brawl comp with no flankers, playing far away from the fight is okay because it means it's harder for the brawl to close the distance and kill you. However, if you are running brawl as Ana against a dive composition, it is best that you play in a spot where you aren't too far in the backline so that you aren't an easy dive target, but you're also not so close to the Rhine that the enemy Winston can just cleave you for free with his Tesla cannon. The big takeaway from positioning on Ana, and really any character, is to take a step back when you are unsure. In a replay code, for example, and think about different ways you could play a fight and figure out what makes the most sense and play trial and error. It took me a long time to perfect my positioning, and I am still working on it to this day. My bonus tip for dive mirrors on Ana is that your friendly support is your best friend and your lifeline. Playing next to your brig allows you to live with ease and be more aggressive. If you don't have a brig and you have a Mercy or Lucio instead, make sure that you are positioning yourself in a place where they can help you in ample time so that you can avoid using your nade on yourself. Nade is such a valuable resource that wasting it on something that is preventable is something that will hold you back from climbing to the top ranks. To finish off the guide, where are you going to see Ana in high-level team play? The main composition that has been seeing a lot of Ana play recently is the double bubble composition we suggested earlier. If you need a recap on that composition, I suggest you go back to that chapter in the video as for the reason why it is so strong. The characters I like to do it with the most in ladder include Genji, Soldier, Reinhardt, and Winston. Genji can peel for Ana extremely well as their combined offensive potential can give Genji dash resets quickly and efficiently. Nanoblade is also an incredibly strong combo, so much so it makes Ana and Genji viable in ladder no matter the meta. To prove this point, once I level my new account up, I am planning on doing a Nanoblade unranked to GM stream series with THT Weeaboo within the coming weeks. Moving on to the synergy with Soldier 76, Nanovisor shreds through backlines like a molten knife through butter, but Soldier's healing field is also really nice to have when your friendly support isn't up to par with the game's speed. If you remember when Gale Adelaide and Bird used to duo back in Season 3 and 4, you would see them utilizing this combo a lot, and it was a joy to watch. Lastly, Rhine and Winston are great duos with Ana, as her grenade can make the frontline war a piece of cake. Nano Boost also makes taking space extremely easy. And with that, the guide comes to an end. But let's finish it off with some key takeaways. For beginners, learn how Ana's complicated kit works and get a good feel for how the cooldowns flow, including trajectories and projectile speeds. For intermediates, start thinking about how Ana fits into the composition you are playing and where you should place yourself to win the fight. Set yourself up to play at your best. Don't make things harder than you need to. And lastly, for advanced players, start pushing your limits for when you can get away with not healing a target and shooting another instead. If you don't need your Rhine without Shatter to win a fight and can kill their Genji that is close to Blade, kill their Genji that is close to Blade to prevent their win condition. Understand that all damage is healing in various capacities, especially with your anti-nades. Lastly, take advantage of the set nades technique to get another step ahead from other Anas at every level. And with that, you have officially completed the PAS Certified Ana Guide. Practice makes perfect in learning every hero within Overwatch. Be sure to watch Ana players to apply things that you have learned throughout the guide today. These players include ML7, CarQ, myself, and others from within the community. If you are interested in seeing me go live, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 4 PM EST. If you've learned anything from this guide, please do like, share, and subscribe as it helps the channel out a ton. But until next time, guys, I've got a peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.